This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on The South Today, a large southern employer receives a stay of execution and is set to remain open for a few more years. The Amorphophallus titanum, or corpse flower, attracted many visitors while it bloomed over the weekend. And Wanaka's cycling commuters are able to cut about 15 minutes off their daily travels thanks to a friendly landowner. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Daryl Baser. There's a glimmer of hope for TY Point, as the aluminium smelter is set to continue operating after a new agreement has been signed. The Southland community has expressed relief following an announcement from Rio Tinto advising of a deal with Meridian Energy to keep the smelter operating for a few more years at least.
Workers at TY Point and the wider Southland community have received some very good news. The aluminium smelter will likely stay operating for at least another 4 years.
People are very pleased, very happy. Nice to have that certainty. It's been a tough 2020 and people inside have performed amazingly well through that challenge. And so it's nice to have a 4-year certain time frame now. We can get on with producing fantastic product and doing what we do best. 6
months ago, the smelter's owners, Rio Tinto, said they'd close the plant over this year, with a loss of more than 1,000 jobs. But this date has now been extended to the end of 2024, in part due to a new deal signed with the government-owned electricity supplier Meridian Energy. But General Manager Stu Hamilton says the cost of transmitting the electricity from the Lake Manapuri power station still needs to come down.
We still need to get a fair price for transmission to make sure that we are commercially viable over the next 4 years, and we'll continue to have those discussions with the New Zealand Government over the coming weeks and months.
Hamilton says his primary concern is with keeping the business economically viable over the next 4 years.
So my focus today and in the coming months is about how we position ourselves for success over those 4 years, and during that time we'll talk with all stakeholders around what comes next.
But you still have a small possibility to be open for after that?
There's lots of possibilities as part of the discussion, but we don't know what that looks like yet.
In addition to the 1,000 workers, the smelter is estimated to create another 1,500 other jobs in the wider community. In Invercargill, The South Today.
A 23-year-old Malaysian national who died at a popular Roxburgh swimming spot on Friday evening was an Auckland student working at a central Otago orchard. The man was swimming at Pinder's Pond near Roxburgh and failed to surface. Emergency services were notified he was missing about 7:30 p.m. Divers from a local search and rescue team were called in and recovered a body in the murky water about 9:30 that night. The Police National Dive Squad was put on standby, but members were later stood down. A Roxburgh resident says the man had been working at a cherry farm and in the community is shocked by his death. Dunedin's Botanic garden was humming over the weekend as thousands took the rare opportunity to have a whiff of the city's famously stinky plant. The Sumatran corpse flower, which flowered 2 years ago, bloomed again at the weekend with its accompanying fragrance, which has been compared to that of a decomposing animal.
Hundreds of people got the chance to take in a rare sight, the blooming of an Indonesian corpse flower at the Dunedin Botanic Garden.
It's the Amorphophallus titanum. It's really exciting. It's happening for the second time in 3 years.
The flower is native to the Sumatran jungle, and Dunedin Botanic Garden Collection Curator Stephen Bishop says it's notorious for its bad smell.
It's trying to attract pollinators, so it's really trying to mimic a dead animal because it's pollinated by a carrion beetle in its natural habitat in Sumatra. So it does a number of things. The spadix itself, which is the bit that sticks up the top, actually heats up to around body temperature. So we're about 30 degrees in here. The top of that will be about 37 degrees, or 38 degrees roughly body temperature. And obviously the smell as well too, and hence its common name, the corpse plant.
The Winter Garden glasshouse stayed open until 8 p.m. on Friday and opened early on Saturday to allow the public to take in the sight and smell. But it was online coverage rather than odour that brought some to witness the occasion.
I looked up the previous article that the paper in town here had written from the last time, and then I started looking at articles, and then I actually ended up phoning the DCC yesterday to find more of a timeline. They told me to watch the Facebook page, and I saw it an hour ago on my way to work, so it's perfect timing.
Corpse flowers are erratic in their flowering regime. This one bloomed back in 2018 and has caught the curator a bit by surprise.
I thought it was just going to put up another leaf, but when the bud poked out of the ground, it was reasonably obvious that, yeah, we were in for another flowering, which, is pretty special after 3 years.
Scientists took pollen samples for possible pollination of other corpse flowers elsewhere in the world. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Drug testing is likely to be offered during the University of Otago's orientation next month. The Otago University Students' Association is discussing the possibility of allowing students to test any drugs they plan to consume. It follows a law change which legalised the checking of drugs at festivals over the summer, while longer-term regulations are being developed. Previously, volunteers set up stalls at events to check for high-risk substances, operating in a legal grey area. Last year, 25 samples were tested over 3 days. 3 of the substances tested turned out to not be the drug the person believed it was. Cyclists commuting from Hawea Flat to Wanaka can now cut about 15 minutes off their travel time thanks to a new cycle track. The new route is a 1 kilometre shortcut across an easement on private land.
This new cycle trail just north of Wanaka is set to cut quarter of an hour off travel times for cyclists who want to commute between the township of Hawea Flat and Wanaka.
The main advantage is that it links Hawea Flat with the Hawea River track where we are here, and from the point of view of people wanting to commute by bike into Wanaka, it'll reduce their travel time by 15 minutes.
Called the Devon Link Track, the 1 kilometre shortcut runs through private land belonging to Devon Dairies Limited.
Part of the agreement with the landowner that it would be de-fenced both sides, and that was they very kindly granted us a 10-metre wide easement for the track.
This shortcut is ideal for keen cyclists who might want to spend a day cycling a loop between Wanaka and Lake Hawea.
I think it'll get a huge amount of use because all the people that like to do the Hawea track from Wanaka on their bikes can now do a loop. They can go across the Gladstone track, across Lake Hawea, come down the school track to Hawea Flat, and now back down Newcastle Road and across this link.
In Wanaka, the South Today.
And still to come on the South Today, people in central Otago are being asked if they can help raise dogs who may be of assistance later on. And we begin a week-long feature looking at some of the events which were on over the Christmas and New Year's period. See you after the break.
What have you got? Okay. Chicks World, party time, excellent. Love it. Chicks World. Chicks World. Right.
risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Ah, TV, our favourite babysitter. But it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air, and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
Inside are all sorts of innovations from all over China.
No mai no, welcome back. In an act of quick thinking, a 20-year-old student was able to track his stolen phone and find the alleged thief. But police say people shouldn't be taking matters into their own hands. Dunedin Senior Sergeant Craig Dennison says over the weekend the victim had his phone stolen from a Clyde Street flat along with other items. Using the Find My Phone application, the man tracked his phone to an address in the Glen and knocked on the door. After arguing with someone at the address, he was given his phone back. He then contacted police about the stolen goods. Police were then able to recover the other stolen items and say their inquiries are continuing. People in the central Otago region are being asked to consider raising a puppy for a year. The Mobility Assistance Dogs Trust needs puppies to be exposed to a wide range of experiences with humans before they go on to further training to help people with mobility issues.
Meet Baxter, a poodle who's been professionally trained to be helpful around the house.
Baxter, Tug. Tug, come on. That's it, get it. That's it. Bring it here. Bring it here. Good. Yeah, good. Nudge. Oh, good boy.
Grant Reid, who works as a coordinator and dog trainer for Mobility Assistance Dogs Trust, is looking for people who might like to raise a poodle or Labrador puppy for a year.
We need puppy raisers down in the Queenstown area to help raise little puppies for a year. So we've got some puppies coming down over the next 12 months, and we are looking for people that love dogs that might want to raise a puppy for us.
And it's all free, with the dog food and vet bills paid for by the Trust. After a year, the puppy goes on to further training and hopefully ends up working for someone with mobility issues.
For the first 2 weeks, it's very time consuming. Thereafter, it's a lot of fun because you can take the puppy everywhere.
In their first year, it's important for the puppies to become accustomed to the outside world as much as possible, with trips to supermarkets, shopping malls and workplaces.
For example, we have a teacher that takes it to school, and we have a university professor that takes us to her office and her lectures.
The dogs can end up assisting people with all sorts of disabilities. For instance, Baxter helps Grant's wife Judy, who has issues with her balance.
You're helping a person to enrich their lives by virtue of having a dog that not only helps them with certain tasks, but is a wonderful social connection to the rest of the community. So you're really doing a great service to helping the disabled community.
In Queenstown, the South today.
Natural causes are most likely to blame for the deaths of hundreds of fish last week. Low oxygen and high temperatures appear to have caused the deaths of hundreds of eels and trout in Dunedin's Silver Stream. Mosgiel angler Bevan Campbell, who alerted both Fish and Game Otago and the Otago Regional Council to the deaths, told the Otago Daily Times he's never seen anything like it. Fish and Game Chief Executive Ian Hadland says the warm, low-oxygen inflows of ponded floodwater from surrounding farmland is likely to have caused the deaths. The Regional Council collected water samples and is investigating further. And now we bring you the first instalment of a week-long series of events which took place over the summer break. While many of us had Christmas Day off, some volunteered to keep on working, including a vet in Balclutha.
Clutha veterinarian Marcus Yule chose to work the Christmas shift this year. He says it's important for vet services to be available 24/7 to provide care or even just advice over the phone.
Animals don't really choose when they become ill, so just like humans, it's really important to always have someone on the end of the phone. That can vary from just a bit of advice just to reassure them, or if we think it's something more urgent, then we see them as soon as we possibly can, just to make sure that it's going all good.
He reported that the early part of his Christmas Day shift hadn't proved too frantic.
So far today we've had a dog with a bit of abdominal discomfort, just one we'd seen previously on Friday. Again, the owner just wanted us to check it over and see if it needed further treatment, which it did, and we admitted that one, and we're going through treatment with that animal right now. And then we've had a few other dogs too, one that was a bit constipated, and another one that had a bit of a sore toenail there, a bit of a sore dew claw. So that sums up today really so far.
And Yule was hopeful that his Christmas Day wouldn't entirely go to the dogs, with plans for Christmas dinner with his girlfriend. In Balclutha, the South Today.
And after the break on the South Today, horses were to the fore in Balclutha at an annual gymkhana, and we look at your forecast across the South. Is it the end of the golden weather? See you after the break.
Inside are all sorts of innovations from all over China.
Welcome to Alex Campbell Menswear. Our 3 stores have no shortage of stock. Check these out. We've got the Dunedin print t-shirts. Check out our zillions of short sleeve shirts. These are crackers. They iron themselves in the wash. Iron cheetah they're called. And there's some really cool polo shirts. Look at all the bright colours. And of course there's no shortage of shorts. This is always one of our brightest corners. Our long sleeve fashion shirts. Jeans, casual trousers, dress trousers, you name it, we have you covered.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So if you're shopping for your family or yourself, come and see Alex Campbell Menswear stores. We're full of stock.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Hey, what have you got? Okay. Chicks World, party time, excellent.
Love it!
Chicks World! Chicks World!
Right.
Thanks for staying with us. Local government rule changes could enable 2,500 more homes to be built in Dunedin. Changes to the city's district plan could include new developments in rurally zoned areas, allowing more medium density housing, and also changes to rules around granny flats. City Council Development Manager Anna Johnson says 25 new homes will be in addition to 3,400 already expected to be built over the next 10 years. Councillors are set to debate the planned changes next week. Horse fans of all ages had the chance to get together in Lawrence over the weekend. About 100 riders took part in the annual Gymkhana in Lawrence on Sunday. All levels of riders were welcome, with the day having an emphasis on fun, where everyone could have a go. There was a cowboy challenge with riders having to navigate obstacles, plus a fancy dress and tug-of-war competitions. High-speed gallops also featured on the track as well. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. A large southern employer received a stay of execution and is set to remain open for a few more years, giving hope to the local economy. The Amorphophallus titanium, or corpse flower, attracted many curious visitors while it bloomed in Dunedin over the weekend. And Wanaka's cycling commuters are able to cut about 15 minutes off their daily commutes thanks to a friendly landowner. Time now for a look at what's happening in tomorrow's Otago Daily Times. We welcome Mr. Hayden Meikle. G'day.
Hello, Daryl. Happy New Year.
And you.
Good to see you.
Time.
Looking well.
Indeed.
Looking well. Well, it's what are we already halfway through January? We'll be click our fingers and it'll be Christmas before we know it. How many shopping days till Christmas?
340.
Plenty. That's been an interesting start to the year, and I think today's list sort of sums up really. It's all happening as we've heard the DCC announcing today some rule changes around building houses, which is hugely topical, obviously. I think last year we covered that in depth, the housing crisis in Dunedin and how many new houses we needed. So 2,500 more houses could be built. That's announced today. That's on top of 3,400 that were coming. So another 6,000 odd houses in the city, thanks to an amendment of a few rules. So this will be an ongoing issue and something I think will be keenly watched by those many people out there desperate to try to get into a house in Dunedin. So good news and should be very interesting. And then a couple of interesting yarns out of police today. One on this young Dunedin man who used an app to track down his stolen phone. Presumably Find My Phone or one of those apps, Daryl. And lo and behold, the young man found his phone and knocked on the alleged thief's door to get it back. Interesting. Obviously the police take a slightly different tack to those of us who find it slightly amusing. They're pointing out that sort of taking matters into their own hands is not ideal, and they would prefer that we deal with police. So that's an interesting yarn. And what's the date today, Daryl? You'll have to remind me. January the
18th.
18th. How about a snow rescue this morning in central Otago? January 18th.
Snow.
6 people in 4x4 vehicles in the Old Man Range up there near Alexandra. Got in a bit of strife and stuck in a bit of snow, so they had to be rescued by emergency services this morning. So I guess that kind of sums up where the weather has been. It's been a bit bonkers to start the year. And not far away from there, actually, Alexandra, a big story for that town today. The developers of a new supermarket, I think Countdown Supermarket, have been granted resource consent to build a new supermarket, which will break New World's monopoly in Alexandra. Alexandra, for a long time, residents have only been able to go to New World for their fruit and veg and groceries, and Countdown is coming. So I guess if you're a consumer in Alexandra, that's great news. Good to have a little bit of competition. So all that and heaps of interesting bits and pieces as well.
Indeed. Thanks, Hayden. All that and much more in tomorrow's paper. Time now for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with the southern view, there's possibly a small reprieve for this piece of the former Otago Botanic building in Dunedin. Looking at the situation, a low pressure system moves over the Southern Ocean in the next few days, bringing strong colder westerly airflow over the South Island. And it's odd to be saying this in January, but forecasters say expect some snow on the southern ranges. Looking at the northwest, expect 17 degrees and rain for Greymouth, similar in Westport where it's due to be 18. And on the eastern side, it's wet for both Nelson and Blenheim on 21 and 23 degrees respectively. It'll be a bit dry down the east coast. Cloudy skies prevail with 23 degrees in Kaikoura and Christchurch and 22 in showers for Ashburton. In the southern towns, Lumsden, Barclutha, the Catalans and Gore are all looking at strong westerlies with showers and 14-degree highs for all of you down there. In the Central Lakes region, it's strong westerlies and showers for all across here. Alexandra has the high of 15 with 14-degree highs for Queenstown, Wanaka and Te Anau. In the northern towns, expect strong northwesterlies and brief rain on the coast with 23 degrees in Timaru and 22 in Oamaru. Inland, prepare for gale force winds from the west with showers and 15 degrees for both Twizel and Omarama. In Dunedin, clear skies tonight with an overnight low of 9 degrees. It'll be mostly dry tomorrow with high cloud and fresh gusty north to northwesterly winds. Expect a brief period of showers likely mid-morning with a high of 19 and a low of 10. It'll be colder on Wednesday with strong gusty west to southwesterly winds, dry at first but showers develop during the afternoon, a high of 15 and a low of 8. And in Invercargill, cloudy with some rain tonight and an overnight low of 9. Cloudy tomorrow with frequent showers and a risk of thunderstorms. It'll be becoming colder with stronger westerly winds, a high of 14 and a low of 7. Strong to gale southwesterlies on Wednesday with frequent showers and some hail likely. It'll be unseasonably cold for this time of the year, a high of 11 and a low of 5. And that's all from the South Today team for this Monday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Have a great evening. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.